Right now, thousands of Australians are having their Centrelink pension claims rejected every single month, and shockingly, many of them didn't do anything wrong at all. Surprised, it often comes down to one missing form, one overlooked signature, or one document that arrived a single day too late. If that has ever happened to you, or you're worried it might, please stay with me for the next few minutes, because today I'm going to walk you through exactly why Centrelink rejects claims, what documents trip people up the most, and the precise steps you need to take to appeal and win. Reassuring. Welcome back to Centrelink Pension Bulletin. This channel exists for one reason: to help you understand your entitlements, protect your payments, and cut through the confusion that Centrelink paperwork so often creates. Today's topic matters more than most because a rejected claim isn't just frustrating. For many older Australians, it means weeks, sometimes months, without the income you are counting on to pay bills, buy groceries, or cover medical costs. So let's start with the most important question. Why does Centrelink actually reject claims in the first place? You might assume it's always because someone isn't eligible, but that's not the full story. According to Services Australia's own guidance, a huge number of rejections happen before your claim is even properly assessed. That's right, before anyone looks at whether you truly qualify. These are called administrative rejections. And the leading cause by far is missing or incorrect documents. Let that sink in for a moment. People who are genuinely entitled to the age pension are being knocked back. Not because Centrelink says no, but because a piece of paper wasn't in the file. So what documents are we talking about? Let's go through them, because this is where most claims fall apart. The first is proof of identity. Centrelink needs to confirm exactly who you are, and they're strict about it. A passport, a driver's license, a birth certificate, these all count. But they need to be current, and they need to match the details on your claim exactly. Even something as small as a maiden name on one document and a married name on another can cause a delay or a knockback. The second big one is proof of income and assets. This includes bank statements, superannuation statements, and details of any property you own. Here's something many people don't realize. Centrelink does not accept a simple list of your bank transactions as proof. They require an actual official bank statement. If you send the wrong type of document, it may as well be blank as far as your claim is concerned. The third major category is residency documents. If you've lived or worked overseas at any point in your life, Centrelink will often ask for evidence of exactly when you arrived in Australia, and sometimes evidence from every country you've resided in. This one catches out so many older Australians, especially those who migrated here decades ago and simply don't have records going back that far anymore. Now, here's a curiosity worth sitting with for a second. Did you know that even if your claim is only missing one supplementary document, Centrelink can still reject the whole thing? Under the current rules, once you submit your claim, you generally have 14 days to provide any outstanding required documents. If they don't arrive in that window, your claim can be rejected outright, not paused, not delayed, rejected. That 14-day window is one of the most important numbers in this entire video. Write it down if you need to. Let's move on to the second big reason claims get rejected. And this one is a little more sensitive. It's about not meeting the actual eligibility criteria at the time you applied. For the age pension specifically, this usually relates to the income test or the assets test. If your income or your assets sit above the allowable threshold on the day Centrelink assesses your claim, they are required by law to reject it, even if your circumstances are about to change. This trips people up constantly. Someone might say, but I'm retiring next month, my income will drop. Unfortunately, Centrelink assesses your situation as it stands right now, not what it will look like in the future. If this happens to you, the good news is you're not stuck. Once your circumstances genuinely change, you can reapply, and there are strategies to time that reapplication properly, but we'll come back to that in a moment. For the disability support pension, rejections work a little differently, and this is worth knowing even if you're applying for the age pension because many families deal with both. Centrelink often rejects DSP claims because a medical condition hasn't been fully diagnosed, treated, and stabilized yet, or because the medical evidence wasn't provided by the right type of specialist. For example, if you're applying based on a mental health condition, a general letter from your regular doctor often isn't enough. Centrelink typically wants a report from a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist specifically. I know that can feel unfair, especially if seeing a specialist means a long wait or added cost. But knowing this requirement ahead of time can save you months of delay. Now, here's a curiosity trigger worth pausing on. There's a lesser-known reason claims get rejected that has nothing to do with paperwork or eligibility at all. It's simply a missed phone call. Centrelink sometimes calls claimants to verify information or ask a follow-up question. If you miss that call, particularly at an unusual hour, and don't call back within a private, untraceable number system, your claim can be rejected for failure to comply. Even if you had already answered that exact question earlier in writing, this has genuinely happened to people, and it's one of the more frustrating rejection reasons because it feels completely out of your control. We'll talk about what to do if this happens to you because there is a fix. All right, so let's say the worst has happened. Your letter has arrived and it says your claim has been rejected. What do you do first? Take a breath. This is not the end of the road. In fact, for many people, a rejection is simply the first step in a longer process that ends in approval. Your very first move should be to read the rejection letter carefully from beginning to end. Centrelink is required to give you a brief explanation of why your claim was refused. This explanation is gold. It tells you exactly what went wrong, which means it tells you exactly what to fix. If the letter isn't clear enough, you have every right to call Centrelink and ask for a full explanation. Don't feel embarrassed doing this. Ask them plainly, can you tell me specifically what information or document led to this decision? Once you understand the reason, your next step depends on what kind of problem it is. If it was a simple documentation issue, a missing bank statement, an unclear residency record, an incomplete form, the fastest fix is often to gather the correct paperwork and lodge a brand new claim rather than appeal. Sometimes starting fresh with everything in order is quicker than fighting the original decision. But if you believe Centrelink made an error, if you believe you genuinely met the eligibility rules and they got it wrong, that's when you move into the formal appeal process. And this is where most people get confused, so let's slow right down. The first stage of any Centrelink appeal is called an internal review. You ask for your case to be looked at by someone called an authorized review officer, often shortened to an ARO. This person did not make the original decision, so they're looking at your case with fresh eyes. You can request this review by phone, in person, at a service center, or through your online MyGov account. Here's a small but important curiosity. Did you know you should apply for this review within 13 weeks of the original decision? That number matters enormously because if your appeal succeeds, being within that 13-week window means you receive back pay all the way to your original claim date. Miss that window, and even a successful appeal may only start paying you from the date you asked for the review, not from your original application. That could mean losing months of payments you were rightfully owed. When you request this review, bring everything, every document, every piece of correspondence, anything at all that clarifies your situation. The more complete your file, the stronger your case. Now, what happens if the authorized review officer looks at your case and still says no? This is where the process moves outside of Centrelink entirely to an independent body. Until recently, this was called the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, but it's important you know its current name because this changed in 2024. It is now called the Administrative Review Tribunal, often shortened to the ART. This name change trips a lot of people up, especially if they read older articles or pamphlets that still reference the old name. If you're searching online for help, make sure you're looking at current information because outdated pages can send you down the wrong path. The Administrative Review Tribunal is genuinely independent from Centrelink. It reviews the decision fresh and it can change it if the law supports your case. You generally have 28 days from being notified of the authorized review officer's decision to lodge this next level appeal. This process tends to be more formal, and for many claim types, especially disability support pension, it may involve two stages within the tribunal itself before a further appeal could even go to the federal court. I know that sounds like a lot of legal machinery, and it can feel intimidating, especially if you're going through this later in life without family nearby to help you navigate it. But here's something reassuring. You are not required to face this alone. Community legal centres across Australia offer free advice specifically for Centrelink appeals. The National Welfare Rights Network and local legal aid offices exist purely to help everyday people fight these decisions. There's also a Centrelink complaints line, separate from the general inquiry line, which can sometimes resolve issues faster when something has clearly gone wrong administratively, like that missed phone call scenario we talked about earlier. Now, let me leave you with a few practical habits that will protect you long before you ever need to think about an appeal. Always keep copies of everything you submit to Centrelink, whether it's uploaded online or handed over in person. A simple photo or scan on your phone can save you enormous stress later. Always double check that names, dates, and figures match exactly across every document you provide. Small inconsistencies are one of the most common triggers for delay, and if Centrelink asks for a specific type of document, provide exactly that document. Don't substitute something similar, even if it seems like it should work just as well. A bank statement is not the same as a transaction list, even though to us, they might look nearly identical. If you take away just one thing from today, let it be this. A rejection letter is not a final verdict on your entitlement. It is very often simply a sign that something in the paperwork needs fixing, or that Centrelink needs a clearer picture of your situation. Thousands of Australians who were initially rejected have gone on to have their pensions approved, sometimes with full back pay, once they understood exactly what to fix and how to appeal properly. If this video helped make things clearer for you, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this exact information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Centrelink Pension Bulletin, because next time we're going to break down exactly what documents you should prepare before you even submit your very first pension claim, so you can avoid this entire headache from the start. Leave a comment below and let me know, has your claim ever been rejected and what happened? Your experience might be exactly what helps someone else watching this today. Take care of yourself, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.